everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I haven't actually done a sit-down video before, so just in case you don't recognise me, I'm Maddie and I'm in my second year at New College doing French and Italian. And first of all, I just want to apologise because I literally haven't uploaded in, I don't even know how many months, but a very long time. I don't really have a good excuse. I have actually filmed a couple of videos and edited them, but for various reasons I didn't upload them. But yeah, I mean, it has been a busy term in terms of work, but I've also managed to binge watch quite a lot of TVs, so yeah, I basically don't have an excuse. So I'm just apologising now. I'm so sorry, and I promise next time I'll be so good about uploading. I've got so many video ideas, and Trinity, summer term at Oxford, is great, so I'll hopefully be able to show you that. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling now and get on with the video. So today I'm going to be talking about how to deal with shyness and or social anxiety at university. I haven't personally been diagnosed with social anxiety, so I'm a bit reluctant to talk about it in case I give the wrong advice, but I think obviously shyness and social anxiety, there are quite a lot of overlaps, so hopefully some of the tips I give will help people in both parties. Yeah, and definitely leave comments down below if you have similar experiences, and hopefully you can all kind of help each other out a bit. So I'm going to split the video into two halves. So I'm going to talk first of all about Freshers Week, because I think that's a particularly kind of unsettling time, and then kind of more about university life in general, and I'll leave the times when I start talking about each of them down below, just in case you've already had Freshers Week, if you're maybe a first year. So let's get on with the tips. Okay, so starting off talking specifically about Freshers Week, I think Freshers Week can be a very daunting time. Even the most confident people are often a bit scared going into it, just because, you know, it's a new start, you're going to be surrounded by hundreds of new people. You're probably going to be in a new city. It might be your first time away from home for a long time. It might be your first time living in the UK even. So obviously it's a new start and you're kind of launching yourself into the unknown a bit. So yeah, it's a scary time, or can be. And obviously if you're shy, it's even harder, just because it's obviously a very social time, and meeting lots of people can be quite overwhelming. So I'm going to run through a couple of things that I either did or wish I did in my Freshers Week, just to make it easier. Although actually, I have to say, I am a very cynical person, so I kind of walked in oh, everyone's gonna hate me, kind of thing. Don't have that attitude. Just don't. Be confident, okay? But my Freshers Week actually wasn't as bad as I thought. So yeah, just try not to have expectations, I guess. Just walk into it, see how it goes, that kind of thing. But anyway, just some tips to make it that bit easier. Number one, I would say it's a good idea to try and befriend people before you get there. Now, you can try at interviews. There are lots of times when people will just be kind of sitting around waiting to hear if they got another one, or at meal times, that kind of thing. So it can be really nice just to kind of socialise a bit. I mean, obviously you're all kind of rivals, so you might be oh, I don't want to talk to you, but yeah, just try not to be like that, I guess. But yeah, I know quite a few people who actually met at interviews and are still friends to this day, so I think it can be a really good way of finding people who will then be familiar faces in Freshers Week. Now obviously making friends at interviews is a bit hit and miss, because you might not both get in, you might not both get into the same college, one of you might be pulled even if you do both get in. So yeah, obviously it's not the most foolproof way of making sure you have a friend in Freshers Week kind of thing, but I think that can definitely help. But if you don't manage to do that for whatever reason, if for example you're watching now and you've had your interview and you're waiting for results and you didn't make any friends, another option is meeting people online. Now there are loads of ways of doing that. There are forums, so student room, websites like that. I actually met one of my close friends on Tumblr because she was talking about the Modern Languages Admissions Test, and I just kind of said hi. I also did that and we both got in. And then also you can join offer holder groups. We at Oxvlog actually set one up for incoming freshers, so definitely if you haven't already joined that, go and do that. I'll leave the link down below, just because On there you can join loads of group chats, so they've got group chats for every college, every subject. I think some international students have set up group chats for people from their countries, so it can be really nice to kind of get to know people in the same boat as you if you are in that situation. And yeah, I think just kind of meeting people online can be really nice, because obviously you can get to know each other, maybe even meet up before you join Oxford. And yeah, my second tip is to try and have a kind of mental list of questions that you're going to ask people. Obviously you don't want all your conversations to be really staged, but I think if you're nervous about kind of making small talk with people, it can be quite useful just to kind of have a rough list of questions you're going to ask. So very basic questions are like, what's your name, where are you from, what subject are you studying, how's your freshers week been so far. You might ask if they're going to go to an event and like go with them, you know. So there are so many questions you can ask, but obviously like in the moment you might be kind of nervous and like, I don't know what to say to you. So I think if you just have a sort of mental list, it can be quite useful, and obviously conversation can then flow from there. And in general, it's really good just to ask people questions about themselves. So yeah, try and do that as much as possible and show interest. Just have a really open mind, and people will hopefully find you really friendly. Thirdly, I would say definitely try to put yourself out there as much as possible. As I said before, I thought before anyway, Freshers Week can be very overwhelming. You're meeting potentially hundreds of new people a day, so definitely give yourself rest. Like if you're not feeling up to going to an event, just don't. But if you're kind of questioning something, definitely go. You won't regret it, I promise. And obviously if you go to events, you're more likely to meet people, so that's really good. Also, the reality is that if you don't go to any events, people aren't going to meet you, and so they aren't going to check up on you, they aren't going to invite you to other things. And I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say that you'll be forgotten, but certainly you won't like stick in people's minds if you never show up to anything. Sorry, I don't know if that came out really harsh, but yeah, just definitely try to make yourself go to things. Just if anything kind of takes your fancy, just go along. You know, most things you can just kind of subtly leave if it gets too much, for example. But I think it's definitely a good idea to try to force yourself into those situations as much as possible. Also, there are events with alcohol and no alcohol included. Obviously, if you're not comfortable in a situation with other people who have potentially drunk rather a lot, then maybe just try and avoid those situations. But on the other hand, if you feel that you kind of loosen up a bit, if you drink, then maybe go to the alcohol related things. Although obviously, like, please drink responsibly, don't abuse alcohol. Like, yeah, just know your limits. I just think like sometimes if you drink a bit, it can just help you to be more confident, but obviously don't take it too far. I don't want to like cause any accidents in Freshers Week or anything. Also, going along with that, I would say definitely don't be afraid to turn up to things alone. I know it can be kind of daunting walking into a room full of people by yourself, but it's just something you have to do. Like if you haven't arranged to go to an event with anyone, then you just have to do it, and hopefully you will find somebody you've already met. But if not, you can always just walk up to a new group of people and introduce yourself, and if anything that's better, because then you're obviously meeting a wider range of people. Things like hall, like going to hall to eat, can be particularly difficult just because if there's a group of people you might assume that they're all like really good friends, but trust me, nobody is like best friends in Freshers Week. Everyone just is trying to kind of socialise with as many people as possible, so if anything they'll be really glad to have your company. That's one extra person to meet and get to know, so just don't be afraid to sit down with complete strangers. And that goes for after Freshers Week, because I know sometimes some people feel that they haven't really made any friends in Freshers Week, and then after Freshers Week they think, oh no, like everyone else is in a friendship group now, I can't go and sit with them or hang out with them or anything. But you definitely can, like, yeah. And leading on from that, I would say a really good way of kind of easing your anxiety, maybe, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think, I haven't really, like, tested this out that much, but hopefully it would work. I think it's a really good idea just to try and kind of separate yourself from the situation, so kind of imagine that you're them instead of you, as it were. Like, I'm just going to give an example because I don't think I'm explaining this that well. For example, if you were in their position and you were sitting in a group of people and somebody else came and sat down, unless you're like a really horrible person, you wouldn't think, oh my goodness, why is that person sitting down? You think, oh great, like a new person, I haven't seen them before, like yay, let's be friends kind of thing. Just try to like put yourself in their shoes, and then I think you'll definitely realise that actually like there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, there's nothing wrong with intruding on other groups or anything. I think another thing which can be really nice is just to invite people to things as much as possible. Going back to the thing about going to events alone, I think a lot of people are kind of scared of doing that, so I think people will be really grateful if you invite them to events. If you just say, hey, you're going to this thing this evening, they will most likely say yes, and you can go along together. Or you can, you know, invite people back to your room for tea, to play games. I play a lot of Cards Against Humanity in Freshers Week, which is a really good icebreaker. You can play like Never Have I Ever, just kind of things to get to know each other, but that are kind of like funny or a bit inappropriate, just so, I don't know, I just feel like you break the ice a lot more that way and you get to know each other better. And obviously if you invite people to your room, you don't even have to leave your comfort zone, so it can be like the best of both worlds, I guess. I would also say if you are going to events, it can be quite good to befriend somebody who's a bit more confident than you or a bit more outgoing, because that way they can kind of do the hard work and you can kind of tag along with them. So if you manage to kind of suss out who the confident people are, just try and make friends with them. Obviously that's easier said than done, but I think that would help a lot. And finally, I hate advice like this, but I'm just gonna say, fake it till you make it. I personally just can't really fake confidence, but if you miraculously can, then definitely do. And I think it definitely would help, because I think quite a lot of the time the way we act is how we think people are expecting us to act. So I know that certain people I've met think I'm really shy, so I'm just automatically shy around them. You know, the whole thing about like how your personality kind of adapts to certain situations. I think that's definitely true. So yeah, if you can try and sort of create this confident persona, definitely do that and try and keep it up, and I think it will turn into a reality if you do that. So that's basically all my advice for Freshers Week. I would say just try and remember that everyone is mostly kind of thinking about themselves. Like, they're not going to be judging you or whatever, they'll just be happy to talk to you and get to know a new person, and just kind of walk in there thinking, I'm a great person, like I'm a joy to be around, people are going to be blessed by my presence. Like, I'm sorry, I sound so sarcastic saying this because that's literally like the opposite of my mindset, but definitely just try and like force those thoughts upon yourself, and I think they will really help to kind of brighten your mood and just make you come across as more friendly and approachable. Like, if you believe that you are, then you probably will like project yourself that way as well. So yeah, good luck if you have a Freshers Week approaching. I know it's going to be in like 7 months from now, so, or 6 depending on what university you're going to obviously, but yeah, good luck for them. Okay, now tips for university life in general, because obviously Freshers Week is just 1 week out of many, and for quite a lot of people it's not like the most successful week. I know quite a few people who took a lot longer to adjust to Oxford and like the social aspects of it, for example, or like any aspects of it really. So a few tips, like life in general. Number 1, I would say definitely try and join societies, both in and outside college. So in my college we have most sports offered as clubs, and then we have debating society, an essay society, probably some other societies, but I can't remember them right now. And then across the university there are like hundreds. So if you see a society which you think looks interesting, definitely just go along to a couple of events. Again, don't worry about turning up alone, because I think for a lot of societies the majority of people do, and I think societies are great just because you're obviously then going to be surrounded by people who have a common interest. My second piece of advice is try to speak up as much as possible in academic situations, so like tutorials, seminars, classes, labs, whatever you might have. If you have an idea, just contribute it. Like, it's not the end of the world if you're wrong. If anything, it's good to be wrong because then you can kind of work out why you're wrong and learn from your mistakes. And mistakes can often lead to very interesting, productive conversations. So if you think you have an idea, then just say it, okay? Like, nobody's going to remember any mistakes you make. I hope not anyway, because I've made quite a lot in my time. But yeah, I think it's just a really good idea because obviously, like, you want to make the most of your education, and actually I think tutors will be really grateful if you just keep the conversation going. You know, it can be very difficult if you imagine that you're a tutor and you're kind of asking questions and just getting no response. So yeah, definitely just try to contribute as much as possible, and I think that will definitely help you to kind of feel that you are progressing academically. It will help you to be more confident about arguing certain things, and that, like, I don't know, I think it's just a really good idea. Okay, thirdly, I would say definitely try to avoid the tendency to stay in your room as much as possible. I personally can basically only work in my room. I do go to the library sometimes, but I just get distracted, so I try to stay in my room to do my work, so obviously that's quite like isolating, I guess. But yeah, if I'm not working, I try to like get out and see people, that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely just do that, because the more you stay in your room, the more likely it is that people just aren't gonna like check up on you. Obviously, like, take time out, have some me time to kind of watch TV by yourself, Skype your parents, talk to friends from back home, all that kind of thing. But if you've got a kind of empty evening ahead of you, definitely try and fill it with other people. Even if you just go to hall for a meal, that can quite often actually be a good way to arrange events for the evening. So for example, if it's a club night, people might ask, hey, are you going out tonight? Do you want to free together? That kind of thing. So yeah, just try to put yourself out there as much as possible. Okay, now it's all very well giving you these tips, but obviously they might not work for everyone. So I would definitely say, if you are still struggling after, say, like the first term or two, seek help. There is such a big support network in Oxford, and I really think that if you seek help, you will get it. Obviously, the first service you use might not work for you, but I definitely believe that there is like something for everyone. So I'm just going to quickly run through the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. There are obviously more, and I'll try and leave a link to somewhere where it kind of has a whole list of them. But in college, for example, you can talk to your tutor, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to peer supporters, who are people who kind of trained to talk to you, and your conversations will be completely confidential. And at college, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but I assume so. We also have peer supporters from another college. So if you really want to chat to someone who's a complete stranger, then that is an option. We also have fellows, welfare fellows, who you can go and talk to. I mean, you can pretty much talk to anyone. You can talk to the chaplain. And then outside college, we have things like the counselling service, which is a university-wide thing. We have Nightline, which is an online instant messaging service where you can anonymously chat with a helper. And I think that's particularly good just because you might not want to leave your room to have a conversation with somebody. You might not want to be face-to-face with anyone. And that's kind of instant help, because I think the longest you have to wait is like 5 minutes to speak to somebody. But that is only available at night, so bear that in mind, because obviously you might have problems during the day. That's all I can think of, but I'm pretty sure there are more services, so I'll leave them down below. I would just say definitely try and seek help. There are so many people in similar situations to you, and the people who are there to help have so much experience, and I'm sure they'll be able to offer you many pearls of wisdom. So definitely make use of those services if you feel the need. I also just wanted to talk quickly about Oxfest. Now, I don't know if you all have heard of it, but it's a Facebook page for Oxford students where you can anonymously confess things. Now, some of them are just silly, funny things, but there are also things where people are kind of confessing their very dark thoughts, and they kind of talk about mental health problems they might have, and also like problems they have while they're in Oxford. And I just wanted to say, I do definitely believe that these are genuine posts. I do believe that the people who write them are suffering, and I think that's absolutely terrible. And being at Oxford isn't a great experience for everyone. But I would just say, please, like, don't let posts like that scare you if you see them. I'm saying this mostly because last year I remember seeing a post where somebody who was about to join Oxford said something like, I'm not sure I want to go here anymore because I've read so many posts like this and I'm just worried like I won't be able to cope considering my mental health. And I would just say, like, definitely give it a shot. Even if you have pre-existing mental health conditions, please don't let posts like that or things you read in the media put you off from at least trying to come to Oxford. And, you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think you would regret it so much if you allowed an anonymous post online to, like, deprive you of an amazing education. So I would just say, definitely try to just say to yourself, okay, that is how one person experienced Oxford. Maybe I'll feel the same way myself, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll have a much better time. And you just have to think like that. And I think quite often people who do post things like that are perhaps the ones who haven't sought help or haven't necessarily found the right service for them. So yeah, just don't let things like that scare you at all. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you can take some tips away with you. As I said before, if you have similar experiences, definitely leave comments down below talking about them and giving advice, because I think a lot of people would really benefit from that. And yeah, just be really patient with yourself. If you're a shy person, you're not going to be able to click your fingers and magically become bubbly and confident overnight. You've got to give it time. So, you know, if your freshers week doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You'll still have like another 3 or 4 years ahead of you to improve things. And yeah, just as much as possible, try to focus on your good qualities, things which you think make you a good friend, a nice person to be around, that kind of thing. And I'm sure all of you watching are really, really lovely people. So yeah, just try to focus on that. Be confident, or at least be confident in yourself and your amazing qualities, and I promise good things will come your way. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video, which will not be in 6 months' time. It'll be soon, I promise, okay? Yeah, see you soon. Bye!